It's time to start, folks. Someone trained me a long time ago, you start meetings on time or people learn that you don't start them on time. So we will start this on time. Good afternoon. Welcome back for the spring semester. It's kind of spring outside. Students are back. Parking lots are almost full, which is a good thing. I only have a few things to say, but as you all know, for the last 7 months since Dr. Tom Choice announced his retirement, many involved in the community on campus have been part of the process to find, hire, attract our next president, who will be our 5th president since we opened our doors in 1968. Kind of refresh the process. The Board of Trustees put out a request for proposal for search firms. We interviewed several back in, can't remember when, May or July maybe. And after the interview process and getting quotes and all that, we chose ACCT Search to assist us in our process. Many of you met Dr. Pat Keir, who was their on-site representative for many of the things we did, who happened to live in Oswego, which helped with the travel expenses and the availability. And in their office in Washington, D.C., Julie Golder also helped through the process. We put together a dedicated search committee that spent many hours reviewing. This was an online process. All the applications were submitted online. There were 55 of those. 55 people from all over the country and other countries applied for the presidency here. Then once those were all reviewed, search committee got together on campus to selected 9 semifinalists. Spent 2 days off campus in St. Charles interviewing those 9 folks, and the committee narrowed down the pool to the 4 finalists who came to campus the first week of December. Each spent a day here. So I want to remind you or refresh your memory. The committee was introduced to most of the committee. One person had to leave because of conflicts. I want to, for one last time, remind you who all the committee was, and if I'm not sure who all will be here today for this, but in alphabetical order, Casey Abelin, a faculty member. Casey, are you here? Yep, there she is. Tim Benaziak, is Tim here today? Faculty member. Audra Bainey, who's an adjunct faculty member. I don't see her. Dave Bresson, support staff. There's Dave. Paul Chadwick, a Rochelle attorney who was on the foundation board. I don't think he would be here. Kathy Countryman, who's superintendent of schools in Sycamore, was on the committee. Tony Gabriel, is Tony here? Maybe in the next session. Who's support staff. Dave Gommel, professional staff. Dave here. Sheila Green, a student, probably in class. Katie Hamill, an administrator. Bob Hammond, a fellow trustee. He and I were co-chairs. Sedgwick Harris, up here as an administrator. Cindy McCluskey, I guess, went home ill today, our board liaison and secretary of the president. Greg Milberg, who was from the community, manager of the DeKalb County Farm Bureau. Pat Zilm, I saw Pat a little earlier. She in the room? Nope. And myself. In addition to the search committee, so those folks put in a ton of effort, a volunteer effort to help through the process. In addition to that, we had lots of employees, students, community members that came to the forums when the candidates were on campus and submitted evaluation forms. We had a stack maybe, I don't know, 1.5 inches high. We read all of those, and we appreciated your input. All 4 finalists were very well qualified. But as the whole process unfolded, one person emerged as really the consensus choice of all of you, the community, and the board. And fortunately for us, for our current and future students and our citizens, that person also chose Kishwaukee College. So it's my pleasure now you've already met her, but it's my pleasure to formally introduce Dr. Lori Borowitz, who is our new president.
right, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I guess it is on. Well, I wasn't nervous for this until I listened to all that, and then it put me back into interviewing, and now I'm nervous again. No. I just want to, again, share my gratitude and appreciation for being selected as the 5th president of Kishwaukee College. It's an honor to be here. Every day gets better and better, and I get more excited about the opportunities that lie in front of all of us collectively. So a sincere thank you to the board for all of their support they've given me, and all of you. You've really been tremendous, sharing your ideas, sharing your feedback, just giving me recommendations on where to live and where to go for restaurants and just things like that, the invitations to do things, as my family is not here yet. So I thank you for all of that, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the Kishwaukee College family. So thank you for that. When I interviewed, I had a lot of questions about what are some of the first things I'm going to do when I get here and how would I approach this job, and I talked a lot about listening. And my thought was, you know what, we'll listen. We'll spend the first few months just gathering information and listening, and then we'll start to make some changes and some decisions. And then I think, Kevin, where are you? Yeah, Kevin. Like the day after it was official, whatever, it was a Monday, and I get this email in my North Central Technical College email from Kevin. It says, "Hi, Lori, welcome aboard. Yeah, I think we need to talk today." And so then I sent my number, I said, "I'm here for an hour when my office call me." And he started to share with me a lot about the budget in the state of Illinois and some of the things that were going on, and then had to move up my timeline. And so I not only had to move up my timeline, but I've really had to change some of my approach to how we're going to have to do a few things over the next couple of months. I'm trying to listen as much as possible, and we're going to try to make some really good decisions, and we've got lots of people giving input, and please continue. Just because I don't do what you say, I don't necessarily take the advice, I'm still hearing it, I'm still processing it, and that doesn't mean that a piece of it isn't still heard. So please continue to share, and some good ideas continue to come forward. So I just wanted to mention that, so if you go back and you go, "Oh, she said she was just going to listen," it just has changed a little bit. We've got to move quickly. Before I get into talking about many details of things that we're going to be moving forward on quickly, I just want to go over some new faces and some new changes to existing faces that have occurred at Kishwaukee College over the course of the fall semester. So a few people have been promoted. I apologize if I butcher names. I will learn names as I'm here, and the more common names, and so if you can't say Borowitz, I'm fine with that too. He's a good guy, otherwise I'd be really mad about the name. So, first of all, Matt Fairborn. Matt, I know I saw him. There you are. Come in. He is now the Dean of Career Technologies. RJ, yes, let's clap. RJ, yeah, there's RJ. RJ and I are friends. I'm like technologically challenged a little bit because I have no patience. So RJ's been great, and he's going to continue to be great. Gave me his cell phone number, and we'll get it figured out. But congratulations on your promotion. He's currently Acting Director of Information Technology. TRIO program, Cynthia, is it Cars? Help me out. Maybe she's not here. Sedgwick, do you know your TRIO director?
My TRIO director?
Oh, she's the assistant. I'm sorry.
I can't pronounce her last name either.
Say it. Kishwaukee. Thank you. And Sedgwick's a lot of help, isn't he? Okay, Miss K. I love it. All right, and she is the administrative assistant for TRIO, and she was a student here?
She was the Health and Education Division. She was our student worker for 3 semesters. Fantastic.
Well, isn't that cool when we can hire our own? That's impressive. Sarah Brooks. Are you here, Sarah Brooks? Payroll coordinator in Human Resources. Thank you. Carol McDermott. She is the 3rd shift custodian for campus operations. There's a few camps. Yes, we'll clap. Brian Perkins is maintenance helper for campus operations. Robert Schmidt, maintenance helper in campus operations. Joseph, with the same last name, I believe, so we'll call him K, is the head softball coach for athletics. Is Joseph here? No, but okay. Congratulations to Joseph. Roger Douglas, maintenance carpenter for campus operations. And Matt King, truck driver training specialist, Center for Business Development. So now I've got one that says transitions. Sarah Pohl, Dean, Math, Science, and Business. And then we've got just a few new hires. Merlinette Griffin, did I say that right? Academic coordinator for TRIO. Is she here? No, because this new people should stand up if they're here. Wendy Marshall, are you here, Wendy? Okay, she's a training specialist in adult education and transition programs. Megan Casanelli, financial aid. Are you here, Megan? Next session, great. She's a financial aid processing specialist in financial aid office. Savannah Mussington. Savannah, I've met Savannah. Is she here? No. She is the director for TRIO. Barbara Chanel. Barbara, are you here? She's a part-time office clerk in the business office. Erin Minnick. She's a help desk specialist in information technology. Oh boy, Kristny Volks, is that you? No. Oh, just know how to say her name, thank you. She is the Career Center Coordinator in Adult Education and Transition Programs. So congratulations and welcome to all those folks. It looks like we'll probably have a few more new ones in our next session. So glad to have you part of the Kish family. Aboard the Kish train. I think one of Bob's emails had said that to me. Welcome aboard the Kish train. I liked that. All right. So I just want to share with you a little bit. Spent last Monday meeting with 4 groups, getting some feedback, hearing ideas, suggestions, opportunities. Shared with the board at the board meeting a few of the highlights. I just want to share a little bit more about some of the feedback and things that we need to just review as a college. A big one, the first one I've listed, is the notion of communication and collaboration. How we share information at this college, especially as we're going through some tough times. We really need to look at that and how we collaborate and how we work together. That was a very strong theme. There was a lot of mention about some of our college practices, and we're already starting to look at some of these. The idea of how we schedule classes, how we cancel classes, how we collect payments from students, our drop policies, and our wait lists. We're in discussion looking at all of those and how we do all of that, and maybe do we need to make some decisions differently based on what our students need from us and doing it in the best interest of our students. Mention was made about the cooperative agreements with other colleges. Are we losing some revenue in the way those are structured, and can we look at those and maybe do something different? Suggestion was made to look at some short-term programs with job demand, that we maybe should offer more of these to help people, that we can get some more enrollments and get people out working. As part of that, one of the things that there was a lot of discussion on as well is our collaborations with business and industry. And how do we work with business and industry and how we serve business and industry. I talked on Monday with a number of the groups when this came up about my philosophy on working with business and industry, and it really goes back to my background in working in a technical college in Wisconsin. Everything we did at that college, not everything, but the majority of the work we did at that college really focused on how we get people in a pathway, we get them trained, and we get them working. They might continue along that educational pathway and go on for further education, but really the end goal is to serve the local businesses of our community. I'm hoping that we can do even more of that at Kishwaukee and really connect strongly with our business and industry and find out what their needs are on other programs that we can add. Are there more things we can do to really get in good favor with business and industry? It's going to be very important that they see Kishwaukee as responsive and meeting the needs of the local area. I think legislators are expecting that of us, to really serve the local constituents, and that's really going to be what's going to help us going forward politically and just economically. We're going to need businesses to really want to work with us and be a part of our college. So we'll be talking more about that as we go forward. Talked a little bit about alumni. There was some mention about alumni, and is there more we could do there? I'm sure a lot of our alumni are working in businesses and industry locally, so we want to connect with them more. We really, really need to pay attention to our CTE programs. It's approximately 30% of our college enrollments right now, but we're really going to need to make sure those are strong and supported, and that they have that really good connection to our businesses, and we're doing what they're looking for. Another suggestion, and this is definitely something I think I brought forward from my last position as well, is our partnerships with high schools. How do we get more of the young people coming out of our area high schools, or some outside of our area, to really consider Kishwaukee College as a great first step in higher education? We do fairly well. We do okay. You know, roughly 35% of high school graduates coming to Kishwaukee College right out of high school. We can do better. I know we can do better, and this is a great alternative for so many young people to get their start here for so many reasons. So we are going to do that. We're going to be working. 2 superintendents have already reached out to me. I had one that stopped in my office last week, got an email from another one yesterday. So we're really going to start to look at how we partner with them and how we really spread the message of the goodwill and good work and good education that occurs here at Kishwaukee. So that will be a big initiative going forward. Another thing that was mentioned a couple of times is the idea of financial aid and getting the word out about how people can pay for college. The idea that you can't afford to go to college, we need to help educate people that there really are ways to go to college. There are funding. There's Pell Grants. It's not all loans. There's Pell Grants. There's other things. And how do we get out and help people understand filling out FAFSAs and doing all those things? I know I walk down with financial aid people, so we're going to get people assistance to help them get in our door and understand what it means to take that first step in higher education, so that nobody says, I can't go to college because I can't afford it. There are options and opportunities, and we need to be spreading that word out there. One of the things that was discussed a little bit was the portfolio requirement. I heard that from a number of groups. We're going to consider it. We're going to look at it. We're going to talk about it. Mark, Everett, and Therese, I've already gotten emails from Everett and Therese following the faculty discussion, reaching out to me about the portfolio. We're going to sit down together. Mark's going to lead it, and we're going to sit down together and really talk about the portfolio and what are some, is this a good option? What are some alternatives? So we're just going to discuss it at this point, but we are going to look at it. We have to be careful, folks, in making requirements at Kishwaukee College that are not at our peer institutions, because then pretty soon people will stop coming here because they don't want to get over that barrier. And also, there was someone told me that there were 17 students this semester who did not get their degree because they hadn't completed the portfolio. That's 17 people now who are out in our communities saying, yeah, I never got my degree from Kish because I didn't finish that portfolio, but they completed everything else. The number one person selling our college is our current students. It's not marketing, it's not fancy commercials, it's not marketing pieces. It's the people who are students, or the people who are currently students or who have been students. So really how we sell our college is we do a really good job with the people who are here. And a big part of enrollments is keeping our students. So if we do a really great job, we'll keep them here and we'll get them to graduate. So we're going to have to look at things that we maybe do differently than other colleges so that we don't have fringe students going into another district because we have requirements. So we're just going to look at it at this point. I understand that it's been around for a long time, but I think the time has come to just make it a consideration. I heard some things about in the college where opportunities have been presented and we maybe say no to community groups or to other groups about opportunities to really get Kishwaukee College out there and be engaged in community or other activities. We're going to work on our college becoming a culture of yes, both internally and externally. And we're going to focus our decision making on what's in the best interest of our students. Not what our data systems can do, not what our staffing allows us to do. We'll figure all those things out, but we are going to say yes when we can say yes. There will be times when we have to say no, because really we can only do what we can do. But first, we're going to explore every opportunity, and I want to hear when we got to say no, especially to community groups right now. That's how we're going to increase enrollments. We're going to have goodwill, and we're going to say yes to people who ask us to do things, and we're going to say yes to each other. We're going to be kind to each other. Again, I talked about that decision-making based on what's in the best interest of students. One of the examples that I heard about quite a bit was that students have 2 email groups. They have their D2L email and then their student email, and then faculty will email to one or the other, and they're not really sure if the students are getting it or other people are emailing. We're already on that, right? RJ, are we working on that one? And Kevin, I think we're already working on fixing that one. We've got to have one email group for students. So just things like that. So again, I urge you, continue to share things with me that you see as barriers to our students or that make your jobs challenging, and let's talk about it and see what we can do differently. There are additional listening sessions in the works. We need to hear from our students. What's important to our students? If we have to start cutting things or reducing things or eliminating things, what do our students say are most important to them? So there are 2 listening sessions scheduled, one for Wednesday and one for Thursday. Sedgwick's got some food and some incentives coming to hopefully help get them there, but we're gonna ask them some questions too about what's important to them when they chose Kish, why, and what's important now that they're here, and we'll make sure we can try to protect those things and make sure they stay on campus. It's also gonna be really important that I get out into the community. I and others get out to the community to hear their feedback. And so we'll try to schedule some community listening sessions. I know that's part of strategic planning in the past, and I know Kevin talked about that we're going to start doing the strategic plan again. So we'll work on that, but I think it's going to be really important to go out and for me to hear from our business community and nonprofits and others, what is the reputation of Kish? I know it's good, but what else can we still do? So with that, based on all of that feedback and things to come, I have made a couple of really quick decisions. In my first week, I've made a couple of decisions. And actually, there's 2 of them, and they have to do with people. There are 2 additional people who will be reporting to me. They are not vice president positions. They retain their title, but they're going to be reporting to me for the reasons I will explain. One is Katie Hamill in marketing. She is going to be reporting to me communication. I heard over and over and over. Katie and I have to work on communication together. I'm going to need her assistance to do some of the things we want to do. And we'll be sharing and we'll be getting information out to you, but I need Katie close to me to keep that communication going and getting even stronger. The other one that's going to be reporting to me is John Accardo. John, right there. John is reporting to me because we are going to work on organizational culture, and we're going to make this a place where people hear things and understand things. And when things are, we're going to go through a few things this spring, John needs to be close to me because I think it's going to be really important that he understands my style and how I want us to do this. So if he has a direct reporting relationship to me, we can work on that together. So those are the 2 that we're going to have already been changed. They're effective immediately. So that frees up a little bit of time for Kevin and Rob, who used to have those people report to him. So we didn't want them to be bored. So Kevin has graciously accepted the responsibility of overseeing grants. There are I hear there are good people at this college who have been involved in grants and write grants and help support the grants, but we need somebody out there searching for the grants. We need somebody out there identifying what we need to do as a college to be ready for the grants. So I've already hooked Kevin up with my grants director from my previous college. She's amazing at this. We've gotten some really great grants. So Kevin is going to learn a few tricks from her, how to search out funding. We've got to increase our revenues, and grants is a good way to do it. So Kevin's going to lead that in his area, and so thank you, Kevin, for doing that. And Rob, where is Rob? There you are back there. Rob is going to help do a little bit more legwork and assessment out in our business community. He's going to go out and help assess our needs and relationships with our business and industry people. He's going to work closely with Michelle. I know I saw you right there. Michelle, he'll work closely with Michelle. He'll work with Marshall, as Marshall's out there working, raising money for us. So I think just more feet out there in the business community, and I think that's going to be really important right now that we do that. So they've got additional assignments, and we're going to move forward together. There's a few other things that I'm going to ask of you and ask of me that we're going to do immediately. One is name tags. Stand up if you have your name tag on right now. Okay, pretty cool, about 50%. Thank you. I'm not so concerned whether it's this kind of a name tag or your picture name tag at this point, but here's the deal. First of all, help me learn your names, which I want to learn all your names, so that will help. Second of all, on days like today, when people are new, walking around with their schedules, and I'll say, hi, I can tell you need help, but I'm no help to help you, but I'll find someone to help you. If there's someone with a name tag, they're much more willing to approach you because they know you work here and probably can help them find their way. So I think it's identifier. It will help people feel more comfortable. They'll know who to go up to. I did that. What store was I in last night? And I was kind of like poking around like, do they have a name tag on? So you can ask a question. I think that's really important. It goes back to that culture of helpfulness, of caring, of really here to support our students. So I'm just going to ask you that. If you please start to wear a name tag, just to, and again, blame me so I can learn your names and help our students. We're going to start next month. We're going to do this monthly. We're going to have presidential briefings. I'm going to stand up here for an hour once a month and share some information that's going on and allow you the opportunity to ask questions. So we'll start that in February. Unfortunately, I was hoping Cindy could get that scheduled this morning so I could tell you the February date, and since she's ill today, that's not going to happen, but an email will come out soon, and we'll get you at least the spring ones on the calendar. We're going to work on some communication tools. Katie and I will get together, whether it's Twitter, whether it's a blog, whether it's however we do it, we're going to figure out how to do more communicating, and that's going to be something she and I are going to work on right away. We're going to try to do some more collaborating and break down a few silos. One of the ideas that we're going to start exploring, we're just talking about it right now, is we're looking at this idea of interest-based bargaining. And we're going to explore it. I had a conversation this morning with the support staff union leaders about, are you okay exploring as they're starting to go into some contract discussions, and see how it works. It may not be the right thing for Kish, but I think it's worth a look. I'm hearing from other colleges that have used it, that it is helpful. And so I don't know a lot about it. Mark, where is Mark? Mark, do you want to maybe just share a little bit? He has done it. And so maybe just share a little bit about what it is, because I can see some puzzled looks, like what is it?
Interest-based bargaining was used in the last contract negotiation that was part of a previous institution. Basically, you have someone from Federal Mediation Services come and train you in IBB, interest-based bargaining. It's different from traditional contract negotiation bargaining, where you first come in saying, here are what my interests are. You as a union leader, then the admin comes in, here are what our interests are. And so you start very broadly and you funnel down. So our interest is fair pay, right? And so you don't come in with a dollar amount on either side. And administration comes in, well, we're coming in with wanting fair pay too. So we're agreeing on that, and then you work toward terms. And it's a way to stave off traditional mediation. If you look online, you'll find some nice articles about it right away just by Googling it. Basically, it's known for being a more collegial, friendlier, kinder way of negotiating than what traditional bargaining can also often boil down to. So it's more of a dialectic approach, I would say, dialectical. Everybody at the table is a speaker. You just don't have a lawyer and a union leader going at it, but rather everybody's contributing to the conversation. And everybody's weighing in on whether or not a certain issue or proposal is going to work out. Some cheesy accoutrements to it that I learned to like. Thumbs up, thumbs halfway, or thumbs down. And that's not really my style, but at the same time, you kind of see where everyone's at in the process. And you're sharing what's at the heart of what you're asking for. And what I'm learning about negotiations is oftentimes something's being asked for, and you don't really know what that is, or the reason behind it. But when you find the reason behind it, it's easier to come to terms and come So I've probably gone on longer than you want.
No,
but,
that's good.
I like it, and I would advocate for it. And even if we don't do it, I would recommend that we have someone come in and provide some training along that line.
Okay, thank you. Waubonsee uses this. The president at Waubonsee is the one who had mentioned to me that they use this, and when I brought it up to the team, Mark had said, "Yeah, I've had some experience in it." So we'll give it a look. I'm going to just leave it there, no commitment. I think going forward, asking again things to do immediately, we have to have this goal of enrollment. And I know I looked through some of Dr. Choice's presentations in the past, and it looks like you've had discussions about enrollment before. It's not a new thing, but it's really critical right now for us to figure out how we grow out of our budget problem. And enrollments, it would certainly help us. Not just new enrollments, retaining our students. And we all of us in here are part of retention. How we treat students in the hallway, how we obviously instruct them is critical, but how we treat them in student services, all of those things play into whether a student decides to come back for another semester. And we really want them to come here and get a good education with us. So we need to focus on student success and get them to graduation. So that is really, in a nutshell, the singular goal we've got to have, folks, is really how we increase our enrollments. Just continuing to look for new strategies and ideas. So speaking of enrollment, here's our update. For the year, we are down 7.5%. We're doing better this spring, much better than we did in the fall, so that's some good news. So I was pleased to hear that we're probably turning a corner. And here's some even better news. This one I really like. Our fall applications are up 43%. Now the trick is to turn those applications into enrollments. So, and yes, the primary responsibility will be in student services, but there's lots of things that people can help to do that. So we'll be talking about more strategies and how we can reach out to make that a college effort. But that's the cool thing, is we've got a really good start. With apps up that much, that says that there's people out there who want to come to our college, so we just have to figure out how to turn those into enrollments. So that's more than half the battle. So then that whole enrollment picture, and how does that feed into our budget? Everybody knows, not new news, there is still no state budget. Kishwaukee College was anticipating getting $5 million this year, which we did not get. And at this point, it's not looking so good that we'll get any of that. The staff, the board, they've done a great job of preparing us. I've mentioned this on Monday, I'll say it again. There's no cuts, nothing happening before July. We are fine until then, but we will have to look at next year. There's two factors going into that, not only the state budget, but that decrease in enrollments. For every 1% decline we have in enrollments, it's about $100,000 to our college budget. So when you're talking about your enrollments being down 7.5%, $750,000. That's a lot of money. So yes, the state is hurting us, but our enrollments are hurting us as well. So everything we can do to kick those up will be great. What we're hearing from most of the other colleges regarding how they're building their budgets next year, and how we build a budget is we call it budget assumptions. We look at where do we think our enrollment's going to be, so how much can we anticipate in tuition revenue, how much are we anticipating from property taxes, how much are we anticipating from state aids. Right now, we're going to build our budget for the initial kick. We're going to do it on a 50% budget assumption. It's pretty much what other colleges are doing right now. The newest coming out, what we're hearing is that there probably won't be a budget before the November elections. That means we've got to gimp through one more semester with no state aids. And then hope to heck, come this time next year, things have turned around. So it's going to be a little bit painful. However, I think that we can figure out ways and strategies to get through this and grow and get new enrollments and hope to heck that something happens in Springfield. I met Bob Pritchard this morning at the Rotary I was at. Thank you to Kathy Watkins back there. Hey, Kathy. She got me out of bed really early this morning and to a Rotary meeting, but it was really good. And he already said he and I were going to get together next week. I don't know. We're going to try everything. We're going to work. I can plead ignorant. Teach me about Illinois. Help me. And he did say he's hoping to learn some things about how Wisconsin is doing it, and that maybe there's something he can bring to Springfield to help move things along. So we're going to try. We're definitely going to try to do something. So we'll continue to work on that. But it is not a pretty picture. And all of the colleges, all of our peers are going through this same thing. This is not a unique Kish thing. And actually, decreased enrollments is not a unique Kish thing either. I'd like us to beat the odds and be different than our peers on enrollments, and I think we can turn that around a little bit. Given the forecasting for fall, it's certainly looking a whole lot better. But the budget stuff, the state stuff, we can fight it, we can talk to people, but we only have so much control over that, and we're not alone. So not that eases the pain that we're all going to have to go through this spring, but we'll weather it. We'll figure it out. So a timeline for how this will shake out: on February 9th, there's a board meeting, and we will do the big budget assumptions. I just talked about, how we have to come up with budget assumptions. We'll go over that, kind of what we're building the budget on, and giving a little bit more information to the board. My plan is to do the presidential briefing right after that board meeting. So I'm hoping like even the 10th or somewhere in there is when we can do the presidential briefing, so that everybody can hear what we talked about at the board meeting regarding the budget. So I know these are tough conversations. I know that this is going to be a tough spring for all of us. I'm not going to kid about it. I've been through this. These aren't easy, but we are going to continue to have a strong college, and a lot of us will be here still to continue to educate students. And hopefully, when the money comes back, we can bring people back and just continue the good work that we're doing. So with that, I'll open it up to questions and thoughts and comments. Anybody? Good, yes, a couple hands. Go ahead.
It's a pretty future-reaching question, but let's just assume things in the state budget end up improving and our enrollments do go up over, let's say, 5 years. Is it likely that tuition would ever drop down again? Because I think we'd probably raise it as enrollments have dropped and such, or would they probably have to stay at those levels or perhaps raise to rebuild our reserves?
Yeah, that is like a crystal ball question. That's a tough one. I think what's really important, I can tell you this, 5 years down the road, we're probably not going to be able to rely much on state aids. So we're going to have to figure out how we build our budget on less dependence on state aids. So whether that's a little bit more tuition from our students down the road, I can't see, maybe we could cut if something happens, but the reality is, and this is not unique to Illinois, this is, we took a big hit in Wisconsin in our technical college system a few years ago too. People just don't want to pay any more taxes, and there is no more money coming into the state coffers to pay for any more. So there have to be cuts in order to balance a budget. So we have to figure out how we reduce that dependence on the state aids. I think that's going to be really critical, so we don't have to do this kind of stuff going forward. We want to be more, it takes a lot of everybody's energy when we're worried about whether we're going to have a job or not. And we need to get past that so we can just focus on serving our students. So I would say we are going to have to continue to look for additional revenue sources. Yes?
Thank you. I really appreciate that you had 2 of these meetings today, because that really helped with communication and getting people to, are you going to continue that when you do the monthly updates?
If that's what works best, I will continue to do that, yes.
I can tell you many of our offices, if you don't, then we can't close them, and somebody always can't go. So
Sure.
This is really helpful.
Okay.
We could split it. So that
Yes.
would be my-
Absolutely, then we will do that going forward. We'll do the same thing. Any other, yes?
It was filtered through our meetings, but it was presented to us that there would be, I think, stages or waves of cuts or something like that. We're at a certain stage. Is that something that's being
it's being revisited. I've asked that we go to a little bit different methodology of doing this because I've been through it so many times and I'm really familiar with what we've done. So the team has agreed that we could look at doing this maybe a little bit differently. We've got our dollar amount. We start with some priorities and go from there. Yep, so that is being the way it was done. I don't know anymore if we can say stage 2, 3, and 4. The reality is there's no state aids coming in, and the stages were kind of built, right, that if it comes in December, or if money was going to be coming in, the reality is we can't count really on any of it, and we're just going to hope we're not being overly ambitious with saying 50%, but Rob has assured me that even if something happens in January, you don't get the money, we can still get through next year with what we've got. So then I'm comfortable as long as the board, and I have to obviously they're the ones who set the budget, they have to approve it. But knowing that we could at least get through to next summer of 17 without state money. Yes?
So what I'm hearing, because again, it's been questioned to me as a dean, based on what was just presented, and my answer has been, I don't know at this point, we have a new president, but what we were told was not only the July, that we would be let go until July, but also that we would be letting people know, as soon as possible, which is, the kind of thing to do.
Right.
So what I'm hearing from you is probably the next update that we would know anything would be after the next board meeting, is that?
What will happen is some information will be presented to the board in February. They will vote on it in March. Once the March board meeting and they vote on it, then that one is when we'll do the notification. So it will be March when people know. March. Yes. Yes, Matt.
You mentioned that there's a methodology, or that you looked at a methodology. I hadn't heard of a methodology for this. Is that something you can share with us?
Like how we've done it before and how we're going to look at this? Well, we're basically going to take the list in the stages. They've got the various stages, and stage 1, which has already been done, that's already been implemented, and the different phases, not stages, but phases as they're called. So we're going to take all of the things that have been identified in the phases and prioritize them and just go. So we start with, we know right now it's 4.1 million because we had to go down to 50% of state aids. We know we're looking at 4.1 million that we have to find in the budget. So we'll start with that 4.1 million, and then we'll start with phase 2, and we'll look at all the things in phase 2, and if those are what we want to take off, then we'll take those off. So we keep doing a running total. So then as money comes back in, we'll just go backwards up the list. So it's just a little bit different way of looking at it. So we won't chunk everything in a phase. We'll actually do it by line item. Does that make sense?
Right. I think I might have misunderstood. I thought you were mentioning methodology for layoffs. Is that what you referred to?
No, did I?
I must have misunderstood.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize if something I said was confusing, but no, it's what's in the contract. It'll go in March, or no, actually in February, we'll start to have some conversations. It's right after the February board meeting. There will start to be some conversations. Yes.
So if that budget is a forever budget approved in March, that means that we're good for 2017, everybody is here, is safe for that year. It's not like we revisit it in 6 months because we have a budget that doesn't operate on state funds and we know we're okay. Or could it take another hit and may not know.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is if all of a sudden something happened and the bottom fell out and we were down another 10% in enrollments, I can't say that we wouldn't have to do something different. But we are going to be confident that, and this is projecting now, if we're even able to be flat, and Sedgwick said this morning, he and the staff are having conversations, they're at least hoping for flat. This 4.1 million is actually a 5% decrease in enrollment. So if something happens and once enrollment opens and it's coming up and it's looking good, we already can start to bring some things back. it's really tough because there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees of anything anymore. Education has become much more like a business. And it makes it really tough and uncertain. But at least, yes, I can tell you this, the conversations will start with the unions in February, and people will be notified in March, all across the board, so that people have time, and we've got some things planned for some services for those people who are affected. And that's why with the listening sessions, and again, if people didn't maybe share something, if you've got some other ideas about cost savings, or go ahead and email me, or email your supervisors, and they'll make sure that it gets up. But I'd love to hear your ideas about things we can do, if you have some more ideas. This is the hard part for me, and this is what I'm struggling with the most. I feel like we have to make decisions, and I don't have all the information I wish I had. So I'm going to rely on all of you to help me. So please help me with this. Help me understand what's important to this college, and what do we have to save, and what are the things that maybe we don't have to do in a terrible budget crisis. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? All right, there's about 10 more minutes. I don't have anything else to say, and I know these conversations are draining. We're going to try to, minimize it, but again, 4.1 million's a lot of money. That is the reality of it. So, okay. Well, how about we're going to end on a positive note, because I absolutely cannot end something like this. So how about, has anybody got a great first day of school story about something positive that happened with a student today? An interaction. Nothing? Did anybody help a student today?
I could tell. I was walking down to IT, and you see the students sort of the schedule out like this, and so I stopped. There's a returning student. Couldn't have been more excited to be here. This is the first time she had been on campus, since we had this. I think she might have had a son or daughter. She was showing me her schedule. She was telling me about her schedule. She couldn't wait to get into the classroom, to interact with the students, to learn who their faculty members were, to start studying again. We didn't get into a program or anything, but it was just to see the excitement in her eyes and in her voice. It was awesome. So I got to walk her to where her classroom was, and it was a great experience. Kind of a reminder of why it is that we're here, to get that student in the classroom, and like our founding statement say, to realize their dreams. And so that was pretty cool to hear.
Great.
And see firsthand.
Yes.
The admissions office would be like, all morning, right now that I'm just gonna repeat for a little bit. But, phone calls with people, I'm trying to register online, or I'm trying to do this. So every person that I hang out with and I know that got, registered or at the counter that we're helping is moving forward.
Excellent. I actually got to spend about 45 minutes today walking through. Katie and I did a little walking and talking to students in the cafeteria, and I was shaking hands as they were coming in the door, and I said, oh, everyone's hands are so cold, and usually mine, like right now, are really cold, and Katie says, oh, college students don't wear, that's not cool to wear gloves or mittens. I'm like, oh, I think we need to have a giveaway for outdoor gloves or whatever, and then finally one came in with gloves, and I said, no, you're the smart one. So, but that was really interesting, because there's probably, 30, 35 students' hands I shook this morning at least. And I'd say, do you like it here? What do you like about this college? What are you doing here? People love it. Students love it here. And that is a really awesome thing. It's a very welcoming and warm place. And if you didn't all do a really good job, people wouldn't feel like that. So I think that that's a really positive. There was one woman too up by the president's office who was walking with a piece of paper, and I said to her, are you trying to find something? She said, yeah, and I said, well, good. I can't really help you because I don't know this building either, but she's like, no, I think I know where I'm going. So I said, but I can help you find somebody. So you're right, they're walking around a lot today with papers, and that's why the name tags, I think, are so important, just to help people find their way. Anybody else? Yes?
I'd just like to give some kudos to the folks from the student services that were here on Saturday. All these students get registered as well.
Yes.
I just would like to say the welcome back event went really, really well. I know Jackie Streb put it together pretty quickly, and it was an awesome turnout, and the students had a great time. There was probably a couple hundred students that came through, and we were just talking about it, but it was almost like a reunion for some of them. They were so excited, their friends came in, and they, were hugging and taking pictures for Facebook and stuff together, and I thought, thank God the students are back, because this is why we're here, We sometimes get really bogged down in the stuff and the doing, and you just forget, they're just so full of life and energy, and for them, it's the first day of school again, and it was pretty cool. So, and kudos to her for putting it together.
Yes, thank you.
There was an incident this morning that could have started off and ended very bad, but I think over the time that it went, it ended up being really good. It sounds like the student was very disappointed in our process that we had, but very complimentary of the people that she ran into in actually getting this resolved. We recognized a deficiency in our process. I think we eradicated that process, and we've made it better. But at the end of the day, reading the email that the student sent at the time, very frustrated, she did compliment many of the people here, but not just the student services people. She complimented how, if she couldn't get in that class, how much she would have missed the faculty and staff here. So I think we've eradicated that, gotten her in a situation where she's going to be enrolled. But I just wanted to send that compliment that even though it's tough times, people do recognize the good things that we're doing here at this institution.
Thank you. All right, well, I'll end with saying again, thank you for allowing me to serve as your 5th president. I chose Kish. I'm glad I'm here. It's going to be a great year. It's a great college already. I'm just honored to be a part of it, and let's do a great job of serving our students, and I will see you in February, if not sooner, around campus. Thank you.